All right, welcome back. We got our next NA game going to be coming up. OpTic Gaming, they'll have to recover quickly because they're now facing compLexity going on in their second game of the day. compLexity making their debut here. I'm BreakyCBK, joined by Capitalist as well as Blitz once again. Guys, what'd you think? The Drow strat came through.
Surprised. I thought surely after the Roshan fight and VGJ were only up by like 1 or 2K, and it felt like the game was pretty much even. 20 minutes in, I think it was around there.
Yeah.
I thought OpTic was going to win because I think that Drone Ranger lineup has to stay ahead.
It can, yeah. There's like a timing window for that because the amount of plays that they can make is somewhat limited.
Yeah.
But they played well. They played really well. They played the
Yeah.
team fights like pretty much all 5 players. I don't think there was any like massive missteps. I know Rezo got a bunch of kills, but I thought Yawar played that game like a beast.
I think that is the scary part about that strategy is the fact that, and maybe that's why they thought it was so essential for them to have Wind Ranger in the opening as well, is that Wind Ranger and Quap are equal cores to Drone Ranger at that point in time, right? It's like all 3 of them are going to put out the same kind of damage, and all 3 of them are going to be a threat to a hero like SF, as we saw from Snake King when he soloed him. CC. That was a clutch play from Snake King.
It's not fair to put all the blame on CCC by any means, but I'm curious.
Well.
Well, yeah, no, he did play very well. I agree with you there, including those 2 solo kills that he had early on, where they were 1 or 2 versus 1. The choice for the site, though, I am curious what you guys thought about that. That was essentially his 3rd item after the BKB Shadow Blade. Was Scythe the best decision there, or was that maybe an oversight by him?
They like disables really hard on their team. So like the thing about Underlord is that I thought he was a good pick because he delays the game and he has good team fight potential. But the downside of this hero is like it doesn't start fights.
Yeah.
You're like a guy that just walks in, soaks up damage, helps your team soak up damage with Crimson Guard and like pipe and stuff like that. But when it comes to actually starting fights, like who's supposed to do it? Once they all started getting Lincolns, like the Rupture was a lot more mediocre. PBD had such a hard game. It's like anytime he stepped forward to try to get Rock off, he just got silenced and blown up in like 3 hits.
Yeah, the silence was a massive issue for him. I think the fact that Warlock was kind of dealt with, and then Clockwork is only a reliable initiator for like the first 20 minutes of the game, right? Like he can't hard start team fights for you, especially against a lineup like this, because there's going to be so many like 4 staffs and stuff like that. That there's always going to be a workaround. So you could see why the like team fighting type initiator like Brewmaster was taken away, because if you have superior team fight and you get extra level of initiation, then VGJ Storm would have been really hard pressed. They would have had them, like they were set in pretty much most of those team fights. I think they had like a 70% advantage. But if you have like a better team fight initiator for you, then the game could feel a lot of more even.
Only way that VGJ had ways to start fights are like Shackle Shot or Yawar blinking in or the Tusk snowballing. But they still managed to win. So kudos.
And that is unfortunate for OpTic because they can't tilt today.
Their first of 5 games today. They play a majority, and they're in a row too. Apparently, you saw on the schedule right there. We got OpTic Gaming today, man.
They're going to be warmed up. They're going to be warmed up for Game 3, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Game 3, 4, and 5, they're going to be toasty.
It sounds worse than it is, but technically you're playing like 2 best-of-3s.
Yeah.
Or even less.
It's not that bad, It's just going from one opponent to the next, and like right after the other. With TI on the line, it's definitely grueling at the same time. But hey, that's part of the qualifiers, right?
You're also ending with EG, so then there is that.
Mike Loris, you're joining us too, by the way. I forgot to mention. Welcome back.
I hope I'm joining you guys this time.
Yes, we do hear you this time for the giraffe, so
sweet.
Good to have you here. A Lycan is not banned, by the way. I am noticing that right off the bat. I want to get that out of the way. 3-3, a great Lycan player. We saw it banned against them in the last series, but compLexity choosing not to here.
How funny would it be if compLexity just Wind Ranger, Drone Ranger, OpTic?
That worked well for them.
Oh, no.
Just like 5 teams in a row just do it.
That would be brutal.
I mean, it has 100% success rate. That's just stats.
Do they change their... They do change it.
Oh.
Wow. I really thought that... I mean, I just feel better about Warlock as a fight position over Witch Doctor in general.
In that game, it got run over pretty hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the rest of the lineup, though. I mean, Witch Doctor's really strong. The Maledict is still absurd.
And he still gives you sustain. We're seeing a lot of Voodoo Restoration early, sometimes even 2 levels in the first 3.
It's also just a stun, so that ruptured target can't just leave with TP scroll like something like that Warlock. You can't really do that with Warlock.
That's a good point. That's a decent counter to said hero.
Hopefully they'll get themselves some better team fight this time around from their off lane, I guess.
By the way, we haven't talked about this yet, but this is compLexity's debut, of course, here today, and it's only the second set of series, but we've only seen this roster in the open qualifiers, which they did very well in. They went all the way through. That's why they're here through the first qualifiers. They haven't been playing a lot together, though, in actual official events. I'm sure they've been scrimmaging quite a bit, but do you guys think this roster has potential? Moon Meander, Adam, joining the ranks?
Well, they needed a good, solid captain to replace Kyle. From what I heard, things weren't going the greatest with, I think Moo was taking a lot of the reins there. Moon Meander also had his brief debut as a captain. That did not go so well. So they needed a strong captain to be able to replace him. I think that, to be perfectly honest, I thought Chessie was probably one of the weaker players on the older compLexity roster. He had his moments. Like the year before that, he was really good. But
is Moo's name Moo Meander?
yes, his name is compLexity Moo.
Moo dot and Meander, yeah.
That's his after sponsor name.
Oh.
So have fun with that.
Yeah,
have fun with that, Breaky.
Ready for that.
Moon and Moo both in the same game, and they also have basically the same name inside of the game. Love it when players do that. Can't get enough of it.
Looking forward to it.
Love in the middle of a team fight calling Mr. Cat out of nowhere because I read it and it's on a sponsor name, and what can I do?
Fifth band's coming out. You see the Clockwork band from compLexity. Storm Spirit take it away from OpTic Gaming. That's a curious band there, but perhaps would have been decent. Earthshaker's second pick, though. We haven't talked too much about that. What do you guys think about the support Earthshaker?
So real quickly, the Storm Spirit matchup against Bloodseeker is very strong, right? So that's why they banned Storm. And then the Earthshaker is been seen a little bit more lately. The buff that I got to it was that Echo Slam finally does damage. So it used to be that Echo Slam, if you just hit one target, it did no damage. It was just the Aftershock pretty much. Now they gave it 100 damage. So it gives you a lot more solo kill power as an Earthshaker, because most Earthshakers are not going to get more than one person in their Echo Slam in the first 15-20 minutes. So it just felt like it was kind of almost a useless ability. It was like an extra little stun and everything, but it wasn't the extra, like you need just that extra bit to be able to get a kill. Similar to the way like certain heroes like Nyx Assassin just kind of like run out of damage at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So saw last game, like all these barriers that you can create with the shards and the cogs makes Bloodseeker's life extremely difficult. Just having just a point-click wall that makes Bloodseeker's initial crash in stall up for just a little bit. I mean, first of all, it won't be NA Dota if we're not building walls, but it makes it just such a great defensive response to what OpTic wants to do initiation-wise.
That was good.
Just that awkward silence after.
I laughed, or I smiled.
I chuckled.
Yes,
That
if
was
you were
good.
here in person, Mike Loris, you would have received our enjoyment of that small joke a lot better.
The funny thing is that you guys think it's a joke.
Jeez.
Venomancer, third pick for OpTic, gives them a lot of team fight, a lot of magic damage. I'm not sure where they're going with this pickup though.
They like Venomancer. They do run it a bit. It's a comfort similar to the Bloodseeker lately.
So Cole takes the other end, and they take the Warlock this time.
So Bloodseeker Venomancer is an interesting duo because you can Blood Rage the Venomancer and just amp up all his Poison Nova and
Just spits on you.
yeah.
Perhaps more insight into the Rubik ban as well. Would have been decent this game. That fourth pick now for OpTic. You figure they probably still need their position 4, the Zai hero. Any of that standout this time around? Obviously Clockwork spans.
I mean, you've got lots of hard initiation on the side of compLexity. Like, even with the Warlock, just the range dropping the Golem. Earthshaker, hard blink stun. Wind Ranger can blink shackles. There's a lot of opportunities to open on a Bloodseeker or a Venomancer that can just shut them down from the get-go. So I think you want some strong front line for OpTic. Something to take the brunt of that.
They ran Underlord last game. It wasn't the most successful. Underlord has been dying off a bit, I feel like. Similar to maybe a Tidehunter. But having counter initiation against this Earthshaker Warlock may not be a bad option. That is a frontliner too, so could you see a Tidehunter?
Not a big fan of Tide right now.
No.
Tide's slow hero.
He's just too slow. He's like he's a nothing hero without Ravage. He's not fully a nothing hero because Gush, like the way people were building Tidehunter like 3 months ago with phase boots and stuff turned him into a lot more threatening of a right clicker and stuff. So his damage was amped up when he didn't have Ravage, which was a nice little boost to the hero. It made him more a consistent threat, but it's still quite slow.
You really just hate going up against all these long range abilities when you're Tide. You want to be in the mix up against melee guys, anchor smashing people, and not looking super likely.
Maybe a save mechanism wouldn't be bad for OpTic. It's the other way to go. More difficult when you already have your 5 position pick, though.
Yeah. I suppose like a Legion commander, but yeah, probably not the safest option here. You could go maybe an Abaddon route, or Abaddon, as many call them. Slaughter. So that's going to be your position 4, you'd figure, for OpTic.
We've seen more core Slaughters of late, but most of them have been safe lane. I think it's possible that teams might try 3 position Slaughter, but I'm not sure if that's what you want here for OpTic. I don't know. Feels like a weird lineup.
Yeah, this seems like a nice PL game.
Yeah.
When I saw the Slaughter, there's not a whole lot that bothers you in this game, and you'll scale better than most of these heroes.
What's even left that you can deal with a PL? You've got
Beastmaster's still there.
Beastmaster can threaten in lanes. It's difficult a bit later on. I think there's Legion, there's like the supports of like what?
5 seconds remaining.
Disruptor AoE control.
They do Legion though, they'd have a 4 position Veno.
4 position Slaughter, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's great no matter what it
Mid-Veno,
is. It
then
feels like it's
offlane.
hard to get an answer to PL here.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe they like switch things around and take like a Lesh or something.
Do 33 Veno with Slardar bottom lane, Witch Doctor, Bloodseeker top, and then a mid Leshrac.
Yeah.
Admiral Kunkka coming out for complexity.
Admiral Kunkka. It's really nice the rum against Veno's ult, the
Yeah.
delayed damage. And it's really good catch against all of them.
Yeah, good catch against
No
Bloodseeker.
Yules builders.
It also buffs everybody up so that Bloodseeker in these team fights, like people just don't drop their HP percentage as quickly, so he doesn't get that big boost in thirst.
So now OpTic, 10 seconds. They're going to have to choose quickly here for that final pick. Give us information on Slaughter. Again, Beastmaster. Lycans made it all the way through, but that would really throw things off on the draft, so.
Yeah. Good call, buddy.
Called it.
You're the best.
That's why he's here.
I think you have to, once you see the PL,
Ooh.
I don't think that Lesh was going to be taken. And then
And
you
then
see
PL,
the PL and you have to adjust. Because there's no way any of your other 4 heroes deal with it. Like, you would lose this game by like a timer situation.
And there's no other mid laner that really does the same thing.
Yeah.
We saw the Aghanim's build SF like 6 months ago, trying to beat PLs, but there's very few mid laners or off laners left that would have really given you anything.
Would agree.
So, CCNC on Leshrac. Zai will play the Venomancer.
Does that recover their lineup entirely, though?
It helps it a lot more than it used to. Like, before I felt like it was odd. I mean, I think that Lesh pick kind of just fits. It's pretty decent against all these heroes. It's a Yules builder, too, for the Kunkka.
I like the fact that they're putting Core Earthshaker here because initiation's so important. That hard jump onto all 3 of these cores in Lesh, Veno, and Bloodseeker
Is that a Zai Slardar? Is that what
That
I
is
saw?
now a Zai Slardar.
Oh, they swapped? Okay.
Yeah, they swapped.
Okay, so Zai needs a really good game for this game to go well. Like, he needs a Blink Dagger, like, pre-21 minutes or something.
Yeah, and that's why that's why I'm such a big fan of this Earthshaker being core.
Yeah.
Because he's just gonna have a much faster timing than Slardar.
Whoever gets the jumps in this, like, if they can get the jump on the PL early, then they can actually deal with him.
Might be a little bit tough for Zai early on. Like, you can get a lot of interference, heals, like defensive power for complexity. Slardar, you land a crush on someone like a PL, just doppelgangs away. You just run away. That seems super easy.
All right, thanks Captain Blitz for joining us again during the panel. They're going to be heading off. They're supposed to be casting some South America region. That's why they're dipping out here as the game starts. But myself and Mike Loris will be your casters once again. Complexity versus OpTic Gaming. And Mike Loris, I feel for OpTic Gaming. It wouldn't be the most surprising result if they happen to find a loss here against Complexity by any means, but it's just that's the brutal schedule that is these regional qualifiers, right? It's tough competition. That would be something to see them start 0-2, but definitely a lineup where they can win for sure.
Yeah, especially like I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier in the first game. Like OpTic haven't had really any games since the Super Major, I think. So since then, there's been a lot of patch changes and metagame shifts. So maybe they're just struggling a little bit to kind of catch up to everyone else. Like Complexity played through the opens, so they had a lot more kind of like brute force practice there. I don't know how much of an issue that would be for OpTic. I mean, they're all vets, but it might be a possible explanation if they do stumble.
That's a good point, actually. Wind Ranger, middle lane. Looking for that courier snipe. We'll see if that comes through for Z-Freak. I love seeing Z-Freak play on these playmaking style heroes. Of course, Wind Ranger naturally one that can also develop into a bit of a core later on. That courier's coming, so we'll see. Is CCNC going to keep it just going right down mid? Will he pick up on this? I think it's a courier snipe.
Oh, Z-Freak's got it in the bag, unless he doesn't go for it.
On the way back, I'm sure he will.
You gotta lure him into a false sense of security with your courier. It's like, hey, it was fine going out. Here's your salve.
Now, Wind Ranger hasn't shown yet, though, so there is an argument to be made that, yeah, he's going to get it here, where, don't just send it directly back. We see many players do that, where it's like, okay, where's the Wind Ranger? Oh, you know what? He might be courier sniping. It's easier for us to say as spectators, though, but, yeah, slight misplay maybe, but overall, great play by Z-Freak.
He did get a little bit too close to the tower there, so he's got to burn through quite a bit of his regen. He did start with 7 tangos, so it's not the end of the world for him, but now goes down towards the bottom lane where we have an Earthshaker Wind Ranger dual lane. I can't imagine PyCat's going to be super worried about this, especially since he does have the PPD support, but offensively, it seems like this is not really something that Complexity can really work with to a huge degree, at least until higher levels come up.
Yeah, really interesting to see not only Earthshaker being picked in general, but being ran as the core. I know Capitalist was talking about that, and he did like it in the draft at least. But then the questions are, how successful is this going to be? Will he still go into that earlier on Blink Dagger? Maybe does he go the Shadow Blade route this game? It wouldn't be the worst option, perhaps both, of course, together. But I still think the Blink Dagger priority is going to be a thing here for the Earthshaker.
Yeah, you can throw out those fissures. As long as he's getting experience, he should be happy, but you really do need that blink in this game. Towards top lane, OpTic have pretty good hold on this lane as well. I mean, they're not going to be crushing this Phantom Lancer or anything like that, but between this Venomancer and Slaughter, like, if you get close, you're taking a lot of damage, especially if you're this Warlock. So, who is this? It's Moo on the Phantom Lancer, not Moon Meander.
Yeah.
He can rush down 33 right now simply because the support Zai is off lane, but yeah, outside of that, I'm not really sure if OpTic are super worried about really any of their lanes.
Yeah, it was interesting to see in this Complexity, not only the new roster announcement, but who is going to play what. As you're pointing out there, Moo is playing in position 1 now, taking over for Chessie. Moon Meander joining the squad. He's their new offlaner, and of course Adam replacing Kyle, essentially, as both the in-game captain as well as the support bottom lane.
They got PPD walled off with the power shot. 1 point Voodoo. Has 6 stick charges as well. Z-Freak, power shot against stick charges shouldn't be enough. He'll still chase him down a couple more times, but it's not, again, just short. Adam towards top lane, however, with the Gale, is going to get denied. First kill, gets kill your ally, feels good, man. Now the crush goes on to Moo, who's still trying to gun for 33 here, but those illusions of the Phantom Lance early on, really not a threat. So not much of anything significant until bottom lane, where the cast bounces back towards the Earthshaker. That's some PBD RNG right there, as Moon Meander is going to be your first blood. And top lane again, they're going to go in for the Phantom Lancer. They do know which one's real, but can't quite catch up to him after the doppelgang.
All right, I'm jumping back and forth between the lanes. Sorry about that, guys. Going back. But yeah, the kill on the bottom lane of the Earthshaker sounds like got the lucky cast bounce to eventually successfully make it happen. So OpTic, their first attempt at the first blood was denied. This time around, not so much. Going back to Witch Doctor, we saw him survive there. The biggest reason was because he went that 1 point value into Voodoo Restoration. We are seeing a lot more Witch Doctors do this, and just supports in general that are picked up. You know, Warlock, for example, one of the more powerful reasons why he's picked up on top of just his overall skill set is that the Shadow Word for the laning phase to not only keep himself, but his carry in the lane good to go throughout. So I like to see that, of course, coming out from Witch Doctor. This isn't a lane that's going to be looking to get kills with a Maledict anyways, so it makes sense.
And it was that cooldown increase. Like, level 1 Maledict takes forever to come back online. It's such a pain, so just get the Voodoo Restoration, be happy with that. They're once again chipping at Moo up towards top lane, and you do have that Shadow Word, you do have that Doppelgang, but still, this is time when a Phantom Lancer is not happily hitting creeps. If ever you can do that, you're going to go ahead and do so. Moon on the bottom lane, now racing up against Pycat. He does eat the Fairy Fire, charging forward, gets the heal also. Gets shackled, but there's no follow-up because just a support Wind Ranger. So second death for this Earthshaker on bottom. EXP-wise, only level 3, 12 CS. This is, I mean, we've seen Earthshaker come back from worse for sure, but this is not the start you want off of a safe lane ES.
Exactly. Well, that's the scary thing, is that sure he can recover, but you're giving it up to Bloodseeker. And Pycat, of course, you know, last game didn't necessarily maybe have the strongest performance. I think a lot of that was the lineup as it proved to play out. But this game, he definitely has potential to be scary. I'm sure we're still going to see the Radiance direction. Again, naturally just great against a hero like Phantom Lancer would make a lot of sense. But the question is, does he still go for that early Blade Mail? And I feel like Pycat, Bloodseeker, that's just kind of his natural build as of late. Zai, meanwhile, he's fine.
Might prioritize a little bit of an earlier BKB as well. There's so many team fight abilities from compLexity. Granted, some of them do kind of injure you through that BKB, but Magic Community in this game definitely high value. CCNZ over in mid is going to be chased out by Limp, who he is winning in the lane, but not to a degree where he's completely locking out the Leshrac, so they should both be okay, as Zai's going to find Adam once more in the river. Zai does have the 1 value point in Bash and gets a lucky roll, but up against the Shadow Word, yeah, you can't really challenge that. Has sticks, will survive. But yeah, Slaughter flexing his muscles a little bit. Over mid, yeah, the boat combo on CCNC drops him down very low, shackled to the catapult. And Z-Freak comes in to secure the kill.
Great, that was one of those, you would love to be in the voice call, whatever they're using, bottom lane.
Moon again. I feel like this shouldn't be happening this often, but land a couple of cast bounces, get Pycat some movement speed from the injured nature of Moo up towards top, and it's hard to run away from 500 movement speed.
So going back to the point, though, clearly great communication on the side of compLexity with the immediate TP from Wind Ranger as Kunkka was going for the combo, but then great play from OpTic bottom lane. They saw Wind Ranger TP middle, they take advantage, they kill Moon Meander, and they're going for another kill. He's fine here now.
Can't do it that many times, right? Surely it won't happen. But at the same time, they're going for the other Meander on top lane. They throw the Gale towards Adam. Is there another crush from Zai? Is there a bash? Trying to right-click for bashes. You just standing there. 33's dying, by the way, to the Fatal Bonds. Am I dying? Is he dead? 11 HP. Is there anything else that's linked up?
He's fine.
Calculated.
That was very close right there. So obviously, as we're kicking off here with OpTic versus compLexity overall the NA region, real quick shout outs to the other regions currently going on. Game number 3 of SG versus Pain is happening over on the BTS2 stream with Grant and Brax. On BTS3, you got Leviathan versus Just a Squad with Robin Rollcasting. BTS4, Kingwin versus Singularity with Draskell and Lyrical. And then on BTS5, OG versus Alliance with Killer Pigeon and Lizard. There is so much casting, 5 different channels of non-stop Dota 2 regional coverage coming at you, so definitely check out any of that. But we're happy to see you here, of course. Any region, this is the good one, in my opinion.
All right, get that multi-twitch up. Watch them all with all of the audio on all of them.
No.
It's the optimum Dota experience right there.
That would be odd.
All right, so the real bad thing for compLexity on this bottom lane is the fact that Pycat is almost level 6. So that means that once he gets that, like, Moon by himself is just completely boned, and that means PPD can kind of just wander around and maybe help them kill off top lane, maybe, if they needed help, as Moo is going to go down.
Yeah, that Poison Sting is doing a lot of work from the Phantomancer. I've seen it several times. Moo constantly low on life, and this time, you know, finally suffering a death despite Doppelganger. It's just not enough to keep him alive for the getaway. Zai's hunting at him meanwhile, but it's going to allow for a tower push, at least some tower pressure from 3-3 at the top lane. Instead, they bring it back with, of course, finish. Limp, middle lane? No, he's just farming with the torrent there.
Zai is bloodthirsty right now, like going all the way back into the trees. They're throwing plague wards back there as well. Just keep an eye on where the warlock is. Zai has 2 points in the sprint. They'll just charge right out of there. So I mean, with that amount of movement speed up against a warlock with no control, a Phantom Lancer with barely any control, like there's not much that's actually scaring him unless they have a Z-Freak rotation, and he was on the bottom lane.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 points in the sprint. I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes for level 4 sprint right away. Ever since that change happened to where you just run so much faster in the water itself, roaming from lane to lane, the whole debate will start to be brought up. Okay, do you maybe max it out first? And Zai potentially will go that direction. I just think for the mobility to go from lane to lane, it's a powerful tool to have. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zai does go for that here. In middle lane, though, they're going to wrap around, try for a kill.
Limp does have raindrops, 1 bottle charge if the split earth lands, so he's gonna get the rump out, so maybe that's gonna protect him. CCNC does get dragged back into the boat, and the cask still bouncing. Z-Freak once again TPing in to give Limp a little bit of cover. Just a little bit short on damage up against that boat. If Limp wasn't able to get that one out, probably does go down there.
Yeah, they needed that initial stun before the ghost ship came out. It wasn't able to hit. Good job by Limp, seeing that it was coming and made the reaction in time. So Blade Mill will be the item of choice on Bloodseeker, by the way. Again, this is just like the natural Pycat build. Rupture.
Yeah, now Moon is bleeding. Torrent is going to be dodged. They are going to back off up against that 3rd hero and save their Earthshaker, but I mean, this is what's great about Bloodseeker is that you can force these rotations every, 60 seconds? Yeah, every minute. You pop a Rupture on someone and you either get the kill, force a TP, or force a rotation, and if you don't get the kill, who cares? Just go back to farming.
That's actually an interesting point, too, with the Bloodseeker, how we saw a lot of the Lincolns coming out last game, both naturally heroes like the Queen of Pain, even the Wind Ranger, who just naturally would pick it up. Sure, there is a Wind Ranger this time around, but neither Kunkka or Phantom Lancer are necessarily these cores that are looking to pick up a Lincoln Sphere, and I wonder if they're probably not going to, is my ultimate point, and so that's why the Rupture potentially could be that much stronger this time around.
He'll have to resort to just grouping up as a 5-man, keeping himself safe that way. Unlike CCNC, who kind of goes in by himself with a haste rune and just gets annihilated, and 33 takes a little bit of damage on the retreat as well. Had a haste rune, but X marks the spot, doesn't care about your haste runes.
That was one of those, yeah, I have a haste rune, I'm unkillable mentalities that we see so often, but guess what? You're not, especially against X marks the spot from the Kunkka. And credit to Limp, though. He's doing a hell of a job with his reactions, and he's making it look easy, but as soon as he sees them coming in, I mean, he's putting the X down, the ship comes out, and yet another, in this case, a turn kill even, onto the mid hero, that's Leshrac.
Yeah. Both Limp and Z-Freak, they're moving, man. They're all over the place. You don't really know where they're going to show up, and with shackle shots or a boat or a torrent, like, all these tools just completely halt a gank, and you can see it's kind of working. It's getting Moo a little bit of time to recover. Definitely not the greatest start from the Phantom Lancer a little bit beforehand, but now 3rd place in the net worth is doing just fine. And if you're able to buy this kind of space from your Phantom Lancer just with 1 or 2 heroes, kind of doing what they would ordinarily do anyway, that's a pretty nice win. Moon is going to be forced to TP out of this bottom lane as 33 and, well, actually 4 heroes from OpTic converge on bottom. But again, this is space that Phantom Lancer is going to be more than happy to abuse.
Yeah, and I like the decision here from Moo on Phantom Lancer to go for the casual Hooded Defiance build. This is a lineup that you would definitely like to see it against. A Leshrac, Venom Core. Meanwhile, Witch Doctor's caught. It's probably dead.
Power shot already used. There's a fissure coming in, but that's not going to do much damage. Z-Freak taking the Pulse Nova, taking the Edict from CCNC, and will get ground down as Pycat and Zai come in from the river, kill off Limp. 1 point Buddha Restoration?
Yeah,
super value.
That value goes back to it. When you do not have enough burst damage to take out the Witch Doctor lowly support, you got to be feeling bad, man, if you're complexity. Adam, he's also going to be spotted top lane by Zai. I don't think he's going to get the backup, though. And Zai will probably want to run away himself as Wind Ranger TP's in. Shackle Shot could do him in.
Shackle
there you go.
In the Bloodright, which isn't going to give him much cover. Pycat is going to wander right by. Yeah, Zai kind of got taunted by his own bash. I'm like 100% sure if he didn't bash there, he would just left. Sometimes it happens like that. But hey, you lose your Slardar. It's not really the end of the world there from OpTic, because, I mean, look at bottom lane. It's completely destroyed, pushed all the way down to the tier 2. Someone's got to deal with this. And Moon, he absolutely needs to get this gold. It's 13 minutes now for Core Shaker. Now's about the time when you want to be, you know, maybe picking up your Blink Dagger immediately, if not in another 100, 200 gold, but still, he's quite a ways away.
Yeah, I would like to see Moo go probably right into the Diffusal Blade after this, you know, get that tankier item in the Hood of Defiance. Like I said, it makes a lot of sense this game, a great item choice, but it starts to needing to start to put out some decent damage with the Diffusal Blade, so we'll see if that's the direction he goes for. But I'm finding this item on Venomancer a little bit intriguing. Going the Urn build, I know this isn't your safe lane mid Venomancer by any means, but more the off lane instead of being played by 3-3. But gonna go the Urn, and looks like it has a Veil queued up, which I do like, and you know, maybe even like a Blink Dagger Ags would be no ultimate kind of finish. But yeah, the early Urn, I suppose it's always good to have one on the team if you can put value into it.
Yeah, you're looking to team up with your Bloodseeker, or at least use your Bloodseeker to kind of wander around the map. We can see Zai doing pretty much exactly that the entire game, so get a little bit more reward. And Venomancer, I mean, early on, any item is good on Venomancer, but there isn't really like, you absolutely must get this type of item. The Chaotic Offering is going to drop on top lane, kind of give Moo a little bit of space. With Boat coming in as well, they'll take down Pycat. Zai's Shackle will fail. He does have a Crush, but his sprint has worn out, and he'll get yanked right back into a swarm of angry complexity heroes. Zai will fall as well. They'll lose 2, and complexity will also take that tower on top side.
We're seeing that we saw this first game as well with the Bloodseeker. The Rupture, as much as powerful as it sounds on paper, it's maybe not as strong in practice against these top tier teams, because Fanalist just literally stood there and he got the supports. Meanwhile, middle lane.
Great stun from CCNC onto 2. Zfrig and Adam. You get put into the Pulse Nova. Moo's coming in, but that's a slow TP because everyone else came in beforehand. Moon is going to find the Witch Doctor, but again, this PPP Witch Doctor is seemingly invulnerable. Looking at CCNC now, gets X marked back into that torrent, but Pycat 33, they're both here. Poison Nova does connect onto the Phantom Lancer. They rupture the real one as well, and now Moo's got to sit there and take it. Pycat can challenge him and should be able to take him down. Just gets away from the boat, but still Moo will fall. And it looks like Moon was able to kill off the Witch Doctor. Would you look at that? He did it.
Yeah.
That's a Blink Dagger.
That's a case where the Rupture does come through, obviously, when they've already picked off some of the supports as well. And at that point, Phantom Lancer had no choice but to try to stand still and survive. But the rum drank, still not enough to stay alive. But this is a big item for complexity, naturally, is the Blink Dagger on Earthshaker finally being purchased by Moo Meander, approaching now 16 minutes in. We'll see if maybe a smoke comes out shortly after this. You know, with him, the Kunkka Shadowblade, I got it. Oh, no, he's actually not going Shadow. Interesting. He's going right into a BKB for Limp's first choice. That's a little curious to me, because just about to say, you know, with Shadowblade, I mean, there is a Corrosive Haze on the other side. There is Bloodseeker, so I could see maybe the reasons why they want to stay away from an item like that, but it's just naturally so good on Kunkka.
Yeah, at least you see, like, Armlet, Halberd has been getting a lot more traction on Kunkka, just some sort of increased strength / damage item. I mean, I guess BKB does give you that kind of, but yeah, BKB, though an incredible item, is usually something you want to pick up after you're ready to do some damage. They do have this kind of nice timing with the Blink Dagger, though, so maybe between those two items, get the Hood on the Phantom Lancer, they can look to start some fights. At the very least, force a fight once the Chaotic Offering from Warlock is up. Still 30 seconds till that, but they're really eager to get fight ready.
90 gold per minute talent on a core hero in Venomancer. Pretty strong. Picked up here by 3-3. He's also level 12, up there with the top of the game. CCNC level 13, and CCNC, meanwhile, smoked up. They're looking to make a play bottom.
PPD already revealed himself. Limp has the Haste Rune, gonna throw the boat right after this Venomancer. Gonna connect perfectly. Chain stun, looking pretty good. Can he get anything off? No. He'll go down, but they do clump up for a 2-man split Earth, and CCNC's does push right in along with Pycat. Chaotic Offering's gonna drop, give Limp and Moon a little bit of space to escape. Looks like Limp will not get out, but they do get out with the Earthshaker. Moon now coming in, straight in, along with Moon Meander. He actually teleported back towards the shrine, comes and kills off PPD. As the crush from Zai not gonna land, Shackle Shot from Zfrig will land. Power shotting through 2 of them as well. CCNC kind of running dry on mana. Everyone else running dry on health. So complexity with a really nice response. End up getting a 2-for-1. However, that is still Chaotic Offering down. kind of an expensive fight there for complexity, though they did win it.
I think that's the strongest point right there, is that for what was used in that fight, I think I'm overall fairly happy if I'm OpTic. Killing Limp is still a pretty big deal, and they didn't even use Poison Nova, by the way. That's a level 2 Poison Nova right now on Venomancer with that Veil on top of it. You can only imagine how much more devastating that actually could have been in favor, in fact, of OpTic if he's able to get that off. So, but this is also pre-Radiance from Bloodseeker. Go back to that. I know I overhyped it last game, and it proved not to necessarily be the biggest deal. But yet again, I feel like it's going to be pretty good here. You are dealing with a Phantom Lancer specifically on the other side, and naturally it is a good item choice to have. But I also like OpTic. They're just not afraid to continue to be active, and they're doing that here.
The Nova was on cooldown last time. That's why, like, it's not that bad for OpTic to take that lost fight, and that is what's letting them do this, as you said. Like, they still have all of their big cooldowns. There is no chaotic offering on the other end. There is an Echo Slam. They do know where Moon is going to drop it right on top of the Venomancer. He's going to do a lot of damage, but he's just going to come up short of the actual kill. Now the Haze onto the Earthshaker, and he's bit off a little bit more than he can chew. Why get a defensive item, Venomancer, when you could just survive the Echo Slam anyway? They get killed there, and this is push on towards top lane. CCNC is going to arrive, immediately gets shackled to a tree. And it looks like with Zai's arrival as well, they'll chase after Z-Freak, perhaps? Gotta line the shackle shot somehow here. I'm not really sure where the angle's going to come from the Wind Ranger, so she's probably in a little bit of trouble here. Yeah, she's ruptured. I would say she's dead.
Okay, so going back to the bottom lane, so they're also going to find Witch Doctor, and that Voodoo Restoration, we've seen it before come into play. This time it's not going to be enough. Indeed goes down, but that had to be some form of miscommunication there, because there's no way Earthshaker's getting a solo kill on Venomancer, yet nobody was TPing in that whole time. And it's almost as if that's what he tried for. Maybe he did call somebody and it maybe got instantly canceled. I'm not even sure. I guess I didn't notice 100%. But either way, that was a bit sloppy on the side of complexity. Then even top lane, they didn't fall back in time. At least Wind Ranger eventually gets caught. So complexity find themselves making a couple of sloppy decisions, and goes back to that miscommunication and maybe the lack of overall experience as a team.
And I mean, trying to go for a kill as Earthshaker is one thing, but using your Echo Slam to go for a kill is quite another. Like, they will at least have another chaotic offering, so should OpTic get a little bit of frisky, then complexity will have some tools to fight back with. But you get this Blink Dagger and Earthshaker, you gotta do something with it. Like, he's had it for what, like 5-ish minutes, and so far pretty much nothing except for a little bit of repositioning in that last shrine fight. So effectively this Earthshaker still is not really in the game despite having all the tools necessary.
CCNC got a very nice time on the Bloodstone as well, by the way. He's even already got a charge on it. I think that was from the Wind Ranger kill at the top lane. Finished it prior to that, so naturally going to follow up with a Yules, but this is another hell of a start for CCNC. But the funny thing about that is he's only third on his team, actually. Bloodseeker slightly ahead with a Radiance just about finished, and then Venomancer continues to lead the way. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that level 10 talent no doubt helps. But that's going to be a BKB now finished for Venomancer. As it's also finished on Limp on the other side. So going back to his decision to go to the BKB, it's one of those cases, like, it's understandable. You're dealing with both a Leshrac and a Venomancer core, but, you know, his ganking prowess is now going to be nerfed quite a bit as a result of him going to BKB. So can complexity really make this work? They're going to be relying a lot on team fights, I think it's safe to say. Earthshaker, Warlock, Kunkka with a BKB, that's where they want a group up fight, no doubt.
Absolutely. Like, that's where their heroes are strongest just on their own, and that's where heroes like Bloodseeker are kind of at their weakest. So complexity will have that going for them if they're able to force that. But again, using your ultimates to try to get solo kills, that's not exactly what complexity want to be doing in the grand scheme of things. At a certain point, that's just going to be completely off limits. But complexity, they're still just trying to build up this Phantom Lancer. He's not doing terribly, 4th place in net worth, but not too far behind, only 800 gold behind number 1. Does have Diffusal Blade, now looking at a heart, so Mu is going to be pretty darn powerful. The only problem is that, I guess maybe problem, his teammates need to land their spells. They need to have really good chaotic offerings, Echo Slams, boats, and whatnot, and they've been so far okay, but a Phantom Lancer by himself cannot compete up against this much power from OpTic, no matter how farmed he is.
No. And honestly, they need a pipe on. I guess their only really candidate is an Earthshaker, so hopefully for their sake, he goes pipe next after his initiation tools of the Shadow Blade with the Blink. But then I do like the Heart choice going back to that for PL. It makes a lot of sense when you're dealing with this much magic damage. Just get that natural HP to tank up throughout and be able to survive and obviously either get away or return the favor in the fight. But no doubt we'll be lacking the damage, and that continues to kind of be the theme here with these item choices for complexity. I mean, Windranger, she's just sitting on the Casual Javelin. Of course, a Maelstrom would be nice eventually, but she's even trying to get the Blink next. Hasn't been the best farm for Z-Freak here.
Oh, Zai is going to find the Windranger. They had an inkling that they were close to one another, and Z-Freak is now going to try to book it with the Wind Run into the jungle. 33 is kind of going to block himself with this Plague Ward, but luckily for him, Zai has his back as this
middle.
He'll take the kill there, and in the middle lane, Moon is going to get out of the Blood Circle. Shadow Blading away will be just fine. It looks like maybe thinking about reinitiating. That's a little bit too bold, so they'll take down the Windranger and now look towards Roshan. Level 1 Haze, no medallion or anything like that, so perhaps complexity can actually do something about this. They do have still the Kunkka ult and the Earthshaker ult, but OpTic are just going to leave. They're going to jump in, crush into the Phantom Lancer. He does have the hood. Chaotic Offering going to buy him quite a bit of space, however. He still takes quite a big hit from that Blood Right, but it's Zai who's separated right now, and he will get solo Echo Slammed. It's a kill, but they have to make it worthwhile at the end of the day because Moon is being chased down by Piehead and 16C. He'll be put in a blender as 33 lands his Nova onto 2 in the front. He's driving them all back, but the rest of his team, they're kind of getting wrecked by that Golem, so they can't really help him all that much. Kunkka's going to take a lot of poison damage here. Looks like he should be fine, however.
it's you never know with a Venomancer, but no, he is going to be fine as he makes his way back to base. But that opens up Roshan now for OpTic Gaming, and they did use a Poison Nova from Venomancer. It's a very late Poison Nova, but yeah, you mentioned the solo Echo Slam from Earthshaker. It felt like one of those cases I might as well use it because I'm probably going to be dying shortly after from Moomiander. But Roshan, they're getting it, and that's an Aegis for Leshrac, or it's going to be
got the kill.
Oh, wow.
Power
shot. Well, okay, that's something, but it's picked up by Bloodseeker, and I think it's safe to say OpTic gets the better of it still.
It's something here for complexity. I'm not sure if that's necessarily playing to win, baby, but yeah, it is going to be OpTic Gaming like poking out of that Roche pit to try to force complexity to use some of their ultimates. Even in that position, like that's not really the best spot to be caught by a Chaotic Offering, by an Echo Slam, really tight quarters where they took that fight, but it may be tight quarters, but it's not nearly as bad as getting hit by those in the Roche pit. So love that play to back off as a team and then kind of go back into Roche as a team. Very coordinated as Moon. Oh, Shadow Blade does not keep you safe. Sentry Ward is there. Cast coming in before the fissure, and that should be a dead Earthshaker just from the Maledict. He'll chase him down because they can. Once again, it's going to be an Earthshaker taking a spill here.
Yeah, I'm thinking more about the Shadow Blade, and I know, talking about it earlier on Kunkka, it's because it's just like a natural build on him, but with him not going for it, it also made that logic of you're dealing with a Corrosive Haze, you're dealing with a Bloodseeker. Is it really the best choice over, say, something like that pipe priority for these team fights that are going on? Speaking of that, more happening bottom lane.
Zai's going to blink out from the boat. The boat is now down. They force the buyout onto the Earthshaker. Shackle is nice onto Piecap, but he's the one with the Aegis. So he can take this damage. He's now walled, I guess, into the base. And it looks like his first life will be forfeit here. The rest of OpTic struggling up against that upheaval. Yeah, it is going to be stopped, however. Someone stops this. 33 is going to jump right on in. Nova onto 2 with the BKB active. They'll try to go for Limp, but he pops his own BKB. Not much follow-up physical damage there. Phantom Lancer charging forward. Another wall is going to keep them in. Great walls now from Moon, isolating Zai, and that should be Slardar now fallen. Bloodseeker shackled, and he has already used his Aegis. X marks. I don't even know what he's trying to do. He's just going to go down. A double kill for Moo. And for OpTic Gaming, pushing with the Aegis, yeah, reasonable, but they split their focus between the melee and range and ultimately get pretty much nothing.
Yeah, deciding to go back in right there, 3-3 jumping into Poison Nova. This is not a team that's bursting heroes down on the side of OpTic, and it almost felt like that they were playing like that was the case, but that clearly isn't. This is a team that relies on fights lasting over time, happen to be fairly clumped up and chaotic with the Venomancer and the Leshrac, and even a Bloodseeker to an extent with the Radiance. but they played it as if they were able to burst heroes down. That wasn't the case. Good reaction from complexity, and sure, they made the best of it, but I definitely feel that was a complete oversight by OpTic Gaming, and they threw away the Aegis in a lot of ways too, something they didn't need to be doing. And this is a lineup that's going to continue to be great throughout this game, but Phantom Lancer, I do feel worried for OpTic that this PL could get out of hand. I have Scotty is now coming in next, and once he has that, he is not going to be dying easy. It goes back to, again, the lack of bursty damage on the side of OpTic.
I'm not really sure how they actually kill him, especially if those fights take place, where they just did. Poison Nova just inherently is a lot weaker when the enemies can just duck right back into their fountain. And when that's someone like a Phantom Lancer who has that hood as well, you got to make sure that if someone is going to jump in, if 33 is going to replicate that play, Zai's got to be going in right next to him, and CCNC has got to be following up shortly after, because if they're able to disengage like at all, you're not getting those kills. Your Nova is therefore wasted, and your Venomancer is therefore very sad. He's almost at the level 3 Poison Nova, and it looks like he's thinking about going for the Aghanim, so Venomancer's still going in towards this direction, but you just got to make sure that you have the proper follow-up. Both sides, really. It's all about that follow-up. We've seen a lot of ultimates used and then not much after that.
Yeah. And complexity, clearly, again, with the mentality of they're sticking together as a team. You saw them backing up Moo there, even, on the Phantom Lancer, just in case a jump would happen. But they're not going to go all the way. PL will eventually fall back with the rest of them, and Limp will protect the bottom lane from being pushed in. So Leshrac, his own BKB is coming along. Of course, Bloodseeker also working on that. And, meant to bring that up earlier, that yes, these BKBs, just like it's good for complexity side to potentially have, for OpTic, it's no doubt very powerful as well. And that feels like it's going to be a bit of a window of timing even for OpTic Gaming. Maybe the BKBs into this another Roshan, so another 5 minutes or so they'll have where they have a pretty solid advantage working for them. However, after that, continues to move on. They still haven't broken into the base. That's where I'm going to start worrying for OpTic overall. I mean, it's a 6,000 net worth lead, feels pretty good. But Phantom Lancer, I keep going back to the Eye of Scotty. And you also got to look at Kunkka, too. We all know what he can do with a Tidebringer. And a Daedalus is just around the corner for him. And the Dota 2 RNG gods are in his favor. Really anything could happen at this point.
Yeah, the play in theory for OpTic should be get these BKBs, which mostly are up. Pycat's still working on his. But get the BKBs, get the Aegis Cheese, and then try to break the base. And if that doesn't work, because of botch initiation or whatever, then they really have to reevaluate how they approach this game, because the Phantom Lancer is at that point just going to be a huge menace. So if OpTic hit that timing, yeah, they're looking at 1 racks, 2 racks probably. If they miss it though, this game is going to be really difficult for them.
BKB just picked up, I believe, by Bloodseeker as well. So yeah, both those cores do have it now. Goes back to that idea, bottom tier 1 being pushed in by complexity. Z-Freak in the front lines now with Phantom Lancer there. So yeah, complexity slowly but surely just dwindling away, and that's definitely the way they should be playing. So good for their sake. But there we go.
Dodge though on the crush. Still Moo is in a really precarious position. 33 right in his face. Boat's gonna come in, lay rum onto pretty much everybody. Power Shot will snipe PPD in the back lines. Pycat really slow on the incoming. Tries to go for Phantom Lancer, but he's just wandering around with his blade mail, not really doing much of anything. In the meantime, it's Moo with his illusions doing a lot of damage, but he will get caught and will get dropped by the Blood Right. Everyone's pushing forward now. CC2's BKB still active onto the Kunkka. Will get the kill off of a 1-man split earth. Now he sees Adam off to the side. Should see Adam off to the side. He'll try to TP out. CCNC is going to get the Eul Scepter, and that should be enough to kill off the Warlock. In the meantime, it's going to be Zai chasing down 2. Shackle Shot's going to keep him pinned there as the Fissure with the Ghost Scepter. Ethereal Blade active from that Slardar. Not doing him any favors. Pycat, though, still on the chase. Yeah. Moon going to get out of the Blood Right. Radiant still ticking him down, and it will be able to get the kill. Shackle. It's a really long Shackle, but it is going to get Z-Freak out of there. Ultimately, it's going to be a 3 for 4. CCNC and Pycat, though, the survivors, means that OpTic can still apply this pressure.
We saw right away the BKBs, how crucial they were going to be for Bloodseeker Leshrac, and that no doubt won OpTic Game in the fight. In the long run, the early rupture on Phantom Lancer, he did the whole I have to stand here strategy, and which initially kind of worked out, especially with the illusions, a little chaotic in the fight. But again, it goes back to the mentality. It's one thing to push the bases they did, and the lack of burst damage clearly showing. But those are the fights that OpTic Gaming wants. The longer, drawn-out fights, naturally with your Leshrac, the Venomancer, Poison Nova ticking down. Those are the ones that are going to be winning, and that's exactly what happened there for OpTic. They're going to transition nicely into the Shrine Kill, and this also means more Bloodstone charges for Leshrac. Can't forget, too. 19 charges now on that Bloodstone, starting to get up there, and he's working on a Shiva's next, which naturally a very good item to have against a Phantom Lancer. specifically there. But PL he's switching up, it looks like, and this does make sense, and I think this is almost a reaction to the last fight. BKB for himself feels pretty necessary here.
Yeah, I like this a little bit more here from Moo. I mean, everyone's getting BKB. You don't want to be left behind, but at the same time, you got to protect yourself against that Pulse Nova. The Leshrac absolutely was destroying everyone in that fight, and you know, maybe Kunkka's BKB was a little bit early, like maybe, but that's not going to swing everything. Just timing of BKB. They're going to find the win range up towards top lane, absolutely destroy Z-Freak, and yeah, this is going to be a little bit snowbally for OpTic, because not only do they get the kill on the Wind Ranger, but look at that, Roche is up to take immediately after.
Well, they go and do it as the question, I guess, but Venomancer, that Axe is coming along nicely. They are going to go into the area, Corrosive Haze put up, and here we go. OpTic should be a pretty easy Roshan kill when the last one got sniped by the power shot, but I don't think compLexity can defend this. Chaotic Offering still on cooldown, only for 6 more seconds, though, but it's probably going to be too late.
If the Venomancer like didn't exist, if Zai wasn't like patrolling and like keeping vision, then they could definitely crash in really hard with their ultimates, but it's a little bit too risky going in. Aegis Cheese on the Bloodseeker and Leshrac respectively, and now compLexity, they have got to just batten down the hatches and well, try to keep some vision up, but it's gonna be a little bit tough. I think I saw a gem floating around. Someone has a gem.
Let's see.
What happened to that gem?
There is a gem on
gem.
Slaughter, yeah. Yeah, that's the one he purchased himself, so he has that to go along with the Ghost Scepter, a 4-staff next in line. But yeah, Zai continuing to do a great job. Hasn't gotten much credit this game yet, but 4, 5, and 7. He's got some great initiation and nice finds, and that Corrosive Haze continues to do work throughout the fights as well. It's one of those cases. It's like, yes, there's a lot of magic damage coming out from OpTic Gaming side, but the more enhanced damage you apply for the right-click physical is just going to be beneficial for heroes like a Leshrac even, and a Venomancer, of course, who are still doing plenty of that in between using their abilities. So a great tool to take advantage of. And I still look at this Leshrac with the Shivas, and once he gets that, how dangerous that's going to be. But there's the Ags on 3-3. So the Poison Nova is a lot more effective now, and the cooldown only being 60 seconds on top of that.
Now, they do have the Aegis, they do have the Cheese, but again, OpTic, they really would rather not take fights into the compLexity base. That's not how they would like to operate in this game. Like, the earlier team fight we saw from them started like where the Dire Tier 1 is, went all the way down to the Radiant Tier 1. A fight that spread out, that's where OpTic shine, but in kind of these bottleneck quarters, that's where compLexity are at their strongest. So OpTic kind of have to find a pickoff on someone, and keeping compLexity blind is going to be how they enable that. Looking at OpTic's vision, well, they have some vision, and compLexity have pretty much nothing. So they do have the options there, and they're keeping compLexity scared. Maybe complete the Shiva's Guard, get like an extra item or two, and then try to make this play? Or can you really just like shift gears and go for late game as OpTic? I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, going for late game it depends on what we're talking about. You know, they would probably want this game to finish in the next 10-15 minutes here, whether it's this Roshan by the time the third Roshan spawns, perhaps. Because later than that, then you're dealing with a level 25 PL, who's, I'm actually curious what he does get, but frankly, that Doppelganger cooldown, whenever I see a Phantom Lancer with that, it's just so annoying to play against, and let alone powerful for his team and his sake there. And they're also going to have a Wind Ranger continue to skill now. She just finished her MKB with now a Black King bar queued up on top of that. So that's got to be a threat that you got to be worried about if you're OpTic. So yeah, I don't think OpTic's going to be looking to delay this game as long as possible by any means, and they're fine with that, but they're also not in the immediate rush either. They've gotten over that initial gap that we talked about and mentioned about 5 to 10 minutes ago, and now they have another little window to take advantage of.
Well, they're going to reel themselves on top lane, Shrine taking hits, so compLexity know exactly what's going on here from the OpTic side of things. But will they do anything about this? Tier 2 probably is just straight forfeit. There's no point in defending this. But really the only thing they have going for them right now, Moon is kind of pushing this bottom lane, but it's an Earthshaker. He can't really do that all that effectively. So Tier 2 not even going to be fully attempted. OpTic really just trying to make use of the fact that they have control of the map in compLexity. They don't, although they are currently under vision. Zai's got to get over here with that gem.
I love the Mjolnir choice from Bloodseeker as well, to go the full Mjolnir again against the PL, not only have the Radiance, but now Mjolnir on top of that. Very effective ways to just drop these illusions of Phantom Lancer, making sense there. On top of course, naturally having a Leshrac, who Shiva's is now just around the corner. They're going to push the tier 2 though first and fall back comfortably with that. So they only have the Aegis for maybe another minute here, I believe. I don't think OpTic is going to break through. I think we're going to go, as I was mentioning earlier, we're going to wait until the third Roshan, if you're OpTic, to try to really finish this game, get that Refresher Shard, and show complexity out from there.
You're looking at Mjolnir also, it has that static charge ability, which in this particular game is absolutely nuts. Like looking at Phantom Lancer, having that additional source of clearing and damage is incredible. Looking at Wind Ranger as well, she's going to proc it a lot, so she's got to watch where she focus fires. CCNZ is pushing bottom lane really far, and he's completely surrounded. He's going to find Adam, and Adam's like, yo, I got my backup here, but CCNZ really doesn't care because he has the BKB currently active. Adam's going to drop the Warlock ult, and it will get him some damage on CCNZ, but it will still go down. Back coming out with the Leshrac rush onto 2, as Moon is going to take a lot of damage here. It will take down side first, but if he's now going to jump in, going to poison over pretty much everyone, but there's not a follow until CCNC returns to the fight with iCat. They've isolated the Phantom Lancer, will take him down. And after this Conga next, another cast from TPG on the high ground of Blitz will be put in Thunder. And that's going to be...
Yeah, sorry. Mike Loris, unfortunately, having a little bit of a mic issue there. So hopefully we can get that figured out and move forward with that. But yes, that was a crazy fight. It all started with jumping the Warlock. I mean, that was a bold decision by CCNC, I'll say that. Again, he had the cheese though, so he always felt comfortable, and his teammates were close enough, able to kill Warlock initially, and then eventually have his teammates get there. And by the time they did, complexity was not going to be winning that fight. They still tried. They've already had the buyback now on Kunkka. They're going to need to buy back on PL if they want to save a second set of racks, it feels like at this point. Kunkka throws at the shift. There's that buyback from Phantom Lancer. Peter Pantiam went a little too far. He'll get caught out and eventually killed off, but not the worst case scenario for OpTic Gaming. Moo is going to chase on Phantom Lancer, but I don't think he's getting close enough. In fact, he needs to be careful not to go too far, because the last thing you want is a dieback here. OpTic going back in. There's a Sidearc Crush, Poison Over used. However, the Echo Slam on 3 different heroes coming out from Moomiander. Leshrac getting low himself. BKB's going off all over the place. Pycat put in the Rupture. Up on a Wind Ranger, going to get him taken out. CCC with the heals. He'll stay alive, and as big of an Echo Slam it wasn't meant to be for complexity. Moo's going to end up falling now for a dieback most likely. There we go. He's dead for 95. Lim comes back in. That's a dieback as well. And OpTic Gaming, triple kill for Pycat. That'll do it. GG, well played. The game going the way of OpTic over complexity. God, that was a beautiful Echo Slam from Moomiander. It finally happened. You know, you usually get one of those per game, if anything. But it was just too damn late at that point.
That's that issue we were talking about earlier. Like, Phantom Lancer, he may be very fat. He may be very farmed. But you're leaning on your team fight. You're leaning on the follow-up to that team fight. And, I mean, yeah, again, that's a great Echo Slam. That's exactly what you need to be doing. But if that's not actually getting kills, then you're in a lot of trouble. You have to kill one hero at least off of an Echo Slam like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those cases again. The network's just too high at that point. The buyback's happening from complexity. They got desperate. Wasn't to be. So good job by OpTic capitalizing. I got... The Bloodseeker game especially felt much better for Pycat that time around. There's a reason they like to pick up this hero early on in the draft. Their first game against VGJ Storm wasn't necessarily the greatest against that Drow strat, but this time around definitely worked out. I got to say, CCNC, even in the losing effort, he has been an impressive player for OpTic Gaming. Again, in this case on Leshrac, Shadowfee in the first game. And he's no doubt going to be one of the several reasons why OpTic moves on if they do at this point. But they're now 1-1, and complexity will start 0-1, of course, but still plenty of games to be played. Definitely wouldn't be worrying just yet here, Mike Loris.
Yeah, I'm on CCNC. I feel like he gets a lot of hate, more so than he really deserved, like kind of to meme status. But then people don't realize that, wait, he's actually just like crushing all of these games. So guys got to look through the memes and see what CCNC is actually doing. He's definitely been stepping his game up as of late.
Yeah, he has now Complexity's new roster, on the other hand, kind of not necessarily their debut, but like I said, their first performance has been the Open Qualifiers. You can only take so much from that. We now see them against a great team that is OpTic Gaming. Solid, but perhaps some kinks to work out. They're going to have to figure it out quickly. They're only 2 days you have to finish top 4 to advance on. And actually, updates on that. Let's see. The other game that was going on, Justice Squad did defeat Leviathan, so BSJ and crew right there going down. But our next match here on this stream will be OpTic versus Leviathan. You take a quick look at the standings, as much up to date as they are currently. Yeah, okay, so Shib, you got Storm and Team Baidu on top, but obviously with this early on, you can't really take too much from the standings just yet.
Yeah. Plus, you get a whole lot of people actually are going, get that 3 slots. So losing here is not ideal. I would recommend against that. Probably not the best idea, but still looking forward to a little bit more OpTic and talking about CCNC being meme. I mean, BSJ probably gets it the worst.
There's going to be people wanting to tune in for that one. I can't wait for that. I was Breaking CPK, joined by Mike Loris, guys. Stay tuned. We got OpTic versus Team Leviathan coming up next.